Hey guys, Scott Adams here again. So it's about a week away until I'm at my next live event, which is Payments Ed. It's out in San Diego this year. Today I thought I'd talk about how to think about attending an event and justifying it to your boss if you have to do that. So it comes up a lot in conversation when I'm talking about these kind of events and going to shows and those kind of things because they're expensive. Now for me nowadays as a vendor, it's especially expensive because they kind of foot the bill for the merchants in a lot of ways. But really, either way, whatever side of the fence you're on here, I think they're always very much valuable. One of the things that I think, if you're on the vendor side, most of the time, what your bosses want are things like, how many leads you're going to get from the event. And if you're the merchant side, it's more about learning. But what I would say is that, if you're on the vendor side, think about pitching it more about learning. Because, really, in order to go or, do well in your job, you have to have the knowledge. You have to know what's out there. And talking to merchants and talking to other people in the space is a great way to learn, especially if you've been around the industry for a while. The best way to learn is to talk to people that are in it. Talk to the people on the ground that are doing the work. Talk to the people that are building the new products. All these kind of things. So the event I'm going to now, Payments Ed, is what we call a non-selling event that I happen to be on the board of. So I very much believe in that even if you're a vendor, you go to this event, it's not to sell. Now, is there selling going on? Yeah, a little bit, of course. But instead of doing a hard sell, it's more about discussing and being there, being in front of people and merchants that are in this industry. So for me, I like to speak and kind of give back to the community that, I've had the opportunity to be part of for such a long time. And, by teaching and by, speaking, you're sharing your knowledge, which shows you as an expert. And so, if you're a vendor and you look at a show like this one and say, well, if I can't sell, why should I be there? I think it's education. You need to learn too. Even if you've been in the space a long time, there's always something to learn. And what I find most valuable is talking to merchants, hearing their problems, which, I still look at myself as a merchant and I help merchants on the consulting side, and even with our new company Fraud Deflect, we're helping merchants. And so hearing the problems they have is invaluable. And then really hearing from other people in the space, just what kind of problems that they see, what's coming next. There's always something new. So really I look at it as education and just knowledge sharing and trying, to grow from this experience in the industry. And, learn what's new, what new problems are coming up that I haven't seen yet. And you always learn something. If you're a merchant, it's really the same focus. But one thing that I always remind people to think about is that, I know I've worked for some big companies, and at first, at least, the advice I'd be given internally would be, make sure not to share any trade secrets or share anything that we shouldn't be sharing with other people or, with our competitors especially. But how I look at it in our industry, there really aren't any competitors. If you're a merchant, then the competitors are the fraudsters. It's the people that are trying to defraud you. And so the more information you can share, it doesn't have to be your company numbers or, your next product or, like game companies I used to be with. I never talked about what the next game was or the next champion or whatever, those kind of things. But what I would talk about are our fraud rates and what kind of attacks we're seeing in the fraud world. What our processors, who they were, who we're working with, latest products I liked coming out of industry. And you collaborate that way with your competitors. Because in this space, we're really not competitors. That's, I guess, really all I have for today. Just think about attending a live event. If you've got time next week, be in San Diego at Payments Ed. Check that out. If not, just think about this. Think about how you can get to an event. And even if you're a vendor, don't think about it in terms of sales. Think about it in terms of education and growing your career. So thanks a lot.